Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and I'm super stoked to be invited to broadcast on the AMA YouTube channel. They said, do what you do on your channel. And I immediately thought, I don't know if anyone out here knows what I do. So I thought I would share a little bit about RC Groups and then do what I enjoy, which is shining a light on the hobby. And so the interesting part about my gig is that I get intel about the hobby in many different ways. And I will cherry pick the very best content and then share it through the site. And then sometimes I do videos where I then talk about it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about new products, cool things that have happened, fun things. One thing in particular I'm thinking of. And then I was like, what else could I do for this broadcast that would make it a little bit special? And there's a topic that I would never imagine would be something I would think about a lot, and that is shipping containers. And so I'm like, how much does it cost this week to ship a shipping container? How long does it take to get from doorstep to doorstep? And so I reached out to Gator RC. This is a family run company. They specialize in scale warbirds, 3D, and all the parts and pieces you need. And they will talk to me sometimes if I have questions about behind the scenes running a hobby company. And Ashley agreed. She said, yeah, I would love to come and talk to everyone about this. It's important. And for you, you're going to want to know, hey, I've got an airplane that's on the water or it's being shipped. When do I order it? When's the best time? We're going to go over all this stuff, and I think you're going to enjoy it. It'll be informational for the RC pilot out there. Jason Cole's supposed to join us. In fact, he may want to join us right in the middle of this, so I'm going to have to be listening for the bell. And then we have an AMA announcement that'll be cool. So let's go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to jump right on into the website. Wooma. There we go. RCGroups.com. When was it founded, you ask? 1996. Unbelievable, you say. It is unbelievable. Jim Burke founded this thing. It was a Yahoo group for people who wanted to talk about electric aircraft, which was kind of weird back then because everybody, of course, flew glow, and electric aircraft were not good. They were underpowered. Basically, that was it. They were underpowered. So with that said, I want to talk about a little bit about where I came from. I worked in the film industry for a lot of years. And then one day I was the marketing director for Hobby Lobby International. I was actually at the airfield, and the owner said, one day you're going to work for me. And he made me an offer that I could work in the RC industry, go to trade shows. I remember thinking, I get to go to trade shows. Unbelievable. And this was right when the lithium polymer batteries just came out, Outrunner motors, same time. And it took our little weak electric airplanes and made them powerful and awesome. And so this was like the heyday back with Hobby Lobby when everything was coming out. And one thing I'll tell you is that I lived on RC Groups, which I'll say I had a job before that where they brought me in the office and they said, we got to talk to you about something. You're on RC websites too much during workday. So I took a job that made that my job. And I would be on RC Groups, see something cool, contact the maker, go back, literally stand up and walk back to the other offices and say, I found an airplane. I think it's going to be cool. And that's kind of where the foamy craze started at Hobby Lobby, and it just kept growing. I have lots of stories about Mike Glass and some of the original guys who first printed on foam and all that. But that all came from RC Groups, where you're at right now, what you're looking at. And ultimately where I got a phone call from the owner and he said, you've got to come work for me. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool job too. So I've been doing this for about 15 years. It's my daily gig. I sit here and I would say all day long, but many companies are on different time zones. So if you contact me at midnight, there's a chance I'll stand up and come down here and work with you while I can. And I've been doing this a long, long time. And the great part is, once again, is I get a lot of cool information about cool stuff that I can then share with you. And that's why we're here today. Let's go to the place where you can see the cool stuff anytime you want, drinking coffee, getting ready to go to the field, whatever. This is a channel page, and you can click this main button. It's broken down into different, helis, planes, and things like that in case you just want to see certain topics. But this is where all the cool feature articles come through. Jason Cole and I write these things and find these things and distribute. And so there's the AMA. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Some news on Real Flight, which the original owner of RC Groups owned and just sold to Horizon. All kinds of crazy news coming through. That's where you can find it. And then we're going to jump out to the heart of RC Groups, and that is the forum. And the forum is where everyone's at. So I'm going to do something dangerous. because I don't know what's going to happen when I hit this button. This is the forum spy button. It's amazing how many people have no idea what this is, but I'm going to click it. And what you're going to see is threads coming in as they're being created on the site. So it is the lifeblood of the forum that you're seeing flowing through here. And these are just threads that are being created as we speak. And then there's also a map down here that shows where everybody is. A lot of people from the US and a lot of people from Europe on the site. So we have everything from power systems, batteries, chargers, transmitters, and segmented into different types of RC styles, crafts, helis, FPV, all that stuff. One other interesting topic of just very many is that Jason from Horizon Hobby hangs out here. Jason's been a member for over 20 years. So whenever, let's say, Horizon drops something new, he will create a thread. I actually will go in, turn it into a feature so that it's seen in more places. And you can learn about things like right as they drop. So if you look at this Twin Otter post, that's got 180,000 views. The Grand Tundra, 395,000. I saw one with almost 2 million, the Durafly Tundra. That leads us to somebody else we're going to talk about and who's going to talk to you today. Stuart Warren from Hobby King, the designer of many airplanes. And he told me that he used to watch videos of us at Hobby Lobby every Wednesday. We would bring out new planes and fly them in post. And he said that he loved watching those videos. Now he's doing that for a big company, and he's a mover and a shaker all through the power of RC Groups. So many people have come through the site, live in the site. And there's another guy we're going to talk about, Foam and Tape, who makes just amazingly crazy things and has since he was a kid. And so we're going to check all that out. And before I get off the topic, we also own, operate, and love FlyingGiants.com. This is a giant scale site just for you guys who like giant scale airplanes. I say this is like flying El Caminos around in the field, which actually the cost of a giant scale plane, an average cost, I guess, is the price of an average El Camino. No insurance, though. There's no insurance on these guys when you crash them. So you can check that out. Great photo from Joe Nall. And then we're going to go to Heli Freak, which is a place for heli freaks. This is the #1 heli forum on the internet. Multirotor came in and sort of knocked the heli market in the head, and that was many years ago. And I can tell you, as a guy who looks at stats on a daily basis, that this site is popping. I don't know exactly what's going on here in the heli world, but something's going on because the numbers show that people are really back and into the heli hobby. So be sure and check that out. We'll go back to RCGroups.com, and we're just going to look at some news. Then we're going to jump out, talk to Jason, and then we're going to talk to Ashley. So first up, this was, I believe, went out this week. This is the F-14 Tomcat Twin from Horizon Hobby. And before we get into the Tomcat Twin, I want to brag on Horizon and tell you why they're so cool. Back when I was with Hobby Lobby, I used to travel to shows, and we always had, I called them guns for hire, show pilots. And David Payne and Kim Payne went to all the shows with us, and he was like the stick. And he was the guy who could fly the best. And so he went on and left Tennessee and went to work for Horizon. A lot of the great airplanes, and I don't even know anymore which are his, but a lot of the great airplanes that you love come from David and other guys like David. I have been to their garages and their workshops and hung out with them. They're just like you and me, except their job is to create the best RC planes they can and propel the hobby forward. And so nothing but love and appreciation for Horizon Hobby. I am a giant fan of them. In fact, let me just say, if you're an RC company out there trying to make it and do it and create and all that stuff, thank you for supporting us, the people that love the hobby, because really without them, we have nothing. So that's kind of what we're doing here today. We're talking about some of the things they do. So I'm not going to talk about what appears to be a giant Tomcat. I'm going to jump to their video, and we're just going to check it out. So listen closely. There's something here. Listen to these voices. I have a theory.
Ghost Rider requesting a flyby. Hey, Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's Horizon employees recreating Top Gun. I would love to know who it is. So this is the F-14 Tomcat Twin 40 millimeter EDF. It looks giant, it sounds giant, but it is not giant, and it's not very expensive either. I'm guessing it retails in at $299. That's working off my memory. So we'll jump a little bit. I'm not going to make you watch all the videos of anything. We're just going to do a little sampling. So there's a close-up, and we'll see it in the box in just a second. Bounty Hunter. There it is. So there's the size reference. Super cool. All right, we'll jump out of here. That is the F-14 Tomcat from Horizon. Be sure and check it out. You can check it out here, or you can check it out over at horizon.com because that's where it's at. Next, we're going to jump into something weird, interesting, and cool. Why is it weird? Why am I talking so fast? I feel like I have to get everything in, and I feel like your time is limited, so that's why I'm talking so fast. This H King is not the same as Hobby King. It is a part of Hobby King, but it's interestingly different. We're going to get Stuart to tell us about that. And they have a Yak 11 and a Warbird scheme and the Reno Racer. This plane is enjoyed by many from the Taft Company. So we're going to scroll down to the post by the first guy. Are there any upgrades over the Taft version? Well, that makes me wonder as a guy, how is the Taft version on the Hobby King site? And now we're going to jump in and find out exactly why.
I'm pretty much going to take it through the same routine now, but what I wanted to do is just detail a few things before we get there. Now, many of you would recognize this from the market already, and it had already been on the market from Staffanville originally. They originally commissioned this model, and they developed it with a company called Taft. Now, one of the things you get to do under the H-King brand, we've got several brands at my work at Hobby King, Durafly, Avios, and H-King. With H-King, you have the ability to take existing models and just make them that much better. Durafly and Avios, they are pure OEM or ODM, and by that, technically what that means in layman's terms is that we've paid for the full development and the molds of that particular aircraft under that particular brand. So that's
pretty
unique. With
H-King,
it's actually not that. I don't know if many of you know that, but that's not the case. These are existing models that suppliers have approached us with, or we've approached the suppliers and said, hey, have you got interest in this product, or we have interest in this product, we'd like to put our own spin on it. And that's exactly what we did here with the Yak 11. Now, I've always been a fan of the Yak 11, from Russia with love, if you like.
So basically, with the H-King brand, they take an existing plane and then they tweak it. And so Stuart went in, and you can check him out at Stuart Warren RC on YouTube. But Stuart went in and changed the landing gear so they're articulated, they're not stiff, and he raked them out so that when you land, you don't nose over, and some other things. And so I'm sure you'd be upset if I didn't let you see it take off. So let's watch it. Jump off the grass. Hi.
How's that looking, Tom?
Good.
All right. As I walk, I'm going to tell you a story.
All right, so there you go. This full video can be seen in the thread over here. And then there's another video that you can check out as well. And sometimes I feel like, man, I should let you watch the whole thing. And other times I think I'm going to drive you crazy if I play this whole thing. So I never know for sure. I do it the best way I can. Now, I just heard Jason ping me, which means he's waiting. So I think I have some AMA topics to talk about, RC plane stands, but I think I'm going to stop and go find Jason and get him in here and see what he has to say. Hey, everyone, that was Jason Cole that was pinging me in the background. So I paused the broadcast to bring Jason in. What's happening, Jason?
What's going on? It's haircut Thursday. I need one, but it's...
I was going to say, it's this time of the show where we talk about Jason's hair. Your hair is it's long, and I don't know what to think about it.
I figured I would proactively broach the subject.
Get right in there. So is this the new length of your hair?
It's the new, like, the wife, like, if I do this, like, hey, baby. Like, it works. So I don't know. It's like, you know.
Now, what about sideburns? Can you grow them?
I probably could. I trim a little bit.
You know,
I could grow a beard maybe if I took like 3 years.
How about a mustache? I think you and a mustache, bang.
You know, so when I was interviewing to be on a drone television show a few years back, they asked me, I probably look a little older than I did then. They were like, "Can you grow a beard? Because you'd look a little older." And I'm like, "Sure." And so I tried it for like a month, and it worked okay. And they were like, "Yeah, that's way better." And then I think that show fizzled out. This was before Drone Wars that I was on. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
So every week, and Jason may have noticed, I too am looking for entertaining things to talk about. But every week, Jason finds What the Heck Wednesday is the name of the article. Something cool and crash related.
Yeah.
So Jason, we never talked about this. How did this come up? What day did you say, "Hey, I got an idea"?
So I got into mountain biking last year, and there's a couple of like really popular YouTube channels, and they'll do like Send It Saturdays and Manual Mondays, and just these kind of fun, Friday fails was a big one, bunch of mountain bike crashes. So I was like, this was kind of fun and interesting. It's like, how could I utilize this for RC groups somehow? And I was like, what the heck Wednesday? I saw a couple of like RC crash videos. There's a ton of compilation crash, footage out there. And I was just like, hey, there's probably some really interesting crashes that are recorded and out there that we could, showcase and talk about and have people speculate and guess and like try to figure out like what the heck happened? Like, why did this crash happen? And it starts out as like more the entertainment, lighthearted, fun side of the hobby, but in actuality, you actually can learn stuff through these videos, and people can figure out, oh, I need to do a pre-flight check on my ailerons to make sure they're not reversed before I take off. And so it's actually beneficial for the community as well as fun. So I thought it was pretty cool.
This picture immediately makes me think of Randy, a guy that we worked with at Hobby Lobby.
Yep.
R.I.P. Randy, we're thinking of you, man.
Yeah, I see that.
And so should we just dive in and watch the video?
Yeah, we could just pull up the video here. This is a giant scale, obviously. This is an extra. And I think the crash footage takes a little bit of time. Oh, hey, it's a Horizon ad.
Yeah, we even know that guy. All right, here we go. Extra giant RC aerobatic plane, 3D aerobatics, and total crash.
Boom. And if you don't want to watch through this whole thing, you can scroll through. He's got it segmented, I believe, to where you can get to the crash footage earlier if you wanted.
I have been doing this where I'm
sometimes the videos that I put up are longer with more footage, and sometimes they're dive right into the crashes. Just depends on the footage. But it's obviously a capable pilot here, right? Performing some great maneuvers, doing acro.
Where do you think we are? Croatia, Germany?
Great question. I don't know. I want to say Europe somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah, obviously a great pilot, and it just kind of goes to show that things can happen to even excellent pilots, and we're all prone to make mistakes, and the inevitable dumb thumb.
P.S. Slow and low 3D is back.
Yes.
Oh, I see it coming up.
Smoking it out. Yep. Here we go. Oops.
What do you think he did there, Jason? Do you think
there's you can go on the thread, and there's a lot of people kind of talking about what happened, why, what caused it. And yeah, I mean, there's I don't know is the answer. It could be a mechanical electronic issue with the radio system, or a control linkage breaking. It could have been a pure dumb thumb pilot error.
I think I know what it is. Hold on, I'm going to show you. Right here.
Oh.
It's his haircut. It's his haircut that got him.
Yeah. Got to keep those locks.
Bam, hey, nice.
So, right. Yeah. So that was a good one, and I think people are unsure why it rolled over, 180 degrees to inverted. And then he pulled instead of put. Like,
yeah, I think he just pulled when he should have pushed.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop right here and tell a story that Jason and I were both together on. We were at Jonal, and they were flying $30,000 jets from Europe.
Yep.
And we watched a jet burn into the electric line in a spectacular, fabrolicious.
I remember.
Fiery fireball of fireballs. It may be my first jet I've ever seen blow.
Yeah.
It was like a debris field.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it looked like total carnage. burned the grass.
And Jason and I jumped in the golf cart. We were hauling, but we got there before they did. Yeah. So we're like, I remember thinking nothing is not broken. Everything on this craft could not be reused. And then I found the pilot and he's like, even that guy was unusable.
Nothing. Take like $20,000 worth of cash and just light it up.
Burn it. 30. And those guys. So you think you're in this, you have this airplane, it's going to crash one day. No. These guys were like near weeping. They were just almost sobbing at the loss.
Oh, it's brutal, man. They all have a lifespan. Some of them are longer than others. You just don't know when your time is it.
And then it felt weird. It was like going to a car crash and then standing around taking pictures, and all of a sudden I felt super weird about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like
bye
moment. You're like, oh, this is awkward.
I'm out. So you can find What the Heck Wednesday, and you're going to find this crazy every Wednesday on RCGroups.com. Check it out.
Hope
So
you guys
the next
enjoy
thing now we're going to go a little AMA-ish, since we are on the AMA channel.
How did we get here, Jim?
Oh, how did we get on the AMA channel?
Yeah, how are we on the AMA channel right now? This is crazy. We used to do this on our channel.
Yeah. No, I hit a wrong button, and here we are. No, we were invited. This is an invitational only situation. And at first I was like, I'm just going to do what I always do. And now it's turned into a day-long process of I can do that better. Let me try this.
Let's tweak this.
So Jason is a competitive pilot. He's flown for the USA team, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I'm involved in the soaring part of the hobby as kind of my primary point of interest. And so every year, one of the things I get to do and get to do for RCGroups as well as myself is go to the Nats, the Soaring Nats. It's up in Muncie, Indiana at the AMA headquarters. It's just an amazing facility to host this. And it's a week, some like 7 to 10 days, depending on the schedule, of soaring competition covering various different formats. So it's because it's a week, we call it glider camp, right? Because everybody just goes and spends a week in Muncie, flying sailplanes, hanging out with their buddies. It's just a beautiful time, beautiful event. And it's
so
just
clear.
So, yeah, look at that. That's early morning fog surprise from Muncie. You never know what you're going to get weather-wise. It could be 120 degrees and 90 mile an hour wind, or just cool 60 degrees and calm. Like it just changes all the time. So it makes it really fun and unique and challenging for soaring contests, because a lot of these are like thermal duration based, where you're trying to stay up for a certain amount of time, make a spot landing. Or with the hand launch planes, we'll fly various tasks, try to stay up for 2 minutes or 1:30 seconds and fly and compete within a 10-minute window and try to complete the tasks better than the other pilots. So, I mean, it's probably one of the largest soaring competitions in the country. And I mean, it's all the great top pilots are there, world class. People go and use it for practice at world competitions. And it's amazing. So this is the F5J format right there we're looking at. These are the big 3 to 4 meter wingspan sailplanes, carbon fiber, uber lightweight. Anywhere from like 38 to 50 plus ounces. And with that big of a wingspan, they perform extremely well. And so we get a motor. You can run time, get 30 seconds to run the motor, but the goal is to not go high at first. You want to start and stay as low as possible, but then get the heck up on a thermal and try to make a 10-minute time. But basically, from the time your motor starts to 10 seconds after it stops, it's got an altimeter on board that is calculating the maximum altitude you achieved within that time. And that is your starting height. And you get a penalty of 1 point per meter up to 200 meters, and then 3 points per meter above 200. So the higher you go, the higher your point deduction is. So the goal is to launch low and then fly high and make your 10-minute time. It's very challenging. I think I've won one competition at Triple Tree, and I've come close on a few others. I've had like 4th, 5th place finishes. I'm really excited. This next year, I'll be doing a review on a new plane from Concept. These are the hand launch glider company that I've been flying for in the F3K world. They are now bringing out a 4-meter F5J plane, and I'm really excited about it. It's got some very unique features to it, and I'll should be available pretty early next year. I'll probably be doing that as a winter project, January, February, getting that built up and ready, and then doing a review on it. And then I'll have it in Muncie at the Nats this summer.
Not to go too in depth, but let's say somebody here wants to go to Muncie to the Nats. What do they do?
Yeah, so we always have the registration for 2022 is not up yet, but it'll be on the AMA website. And we have huge threads on RC Groups basically covering the Nats and all the events, and people post the links to the registration. So I'd say stay tuned to the Soaring events section of RC Groups, and we'll have that information as soon as it's available. There'll be a thread posted by Wally By Golly, who's the League of Silent Flight current president, that's the what do you call those little sub clubs of the AMA? I don't remember.
Chapters?
No, it's something else. There's another name for it. I can't recall.
The quiz has begun. Hey, for all of you that want to know that you're into sailplanes, the sailplane sections here are super intense, and a lot of good stuff going on. So you can find that. Right.
Yeah, I'm in there all the time looking for new stuff, and just people chatting about airplanes and their experiences and tips on building. There's so much you can learn and be a part of within that soaring community there in that little section of RC Group. So love that stuff.
All right. Well, Jason, I hate to bring you on and bring you off, but I think I have a time limit, and I'm like, I don't know how close I am, but I'm not even done yet. So everyone stay tuned. We have Ashley from Gator RC. She's going to talk about shipping container realities for you and I in 2022.
There you
and
go.
Beyond, evidently. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. All right, Jason Cole, have a great weekend.
All right, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.
See ya.
But we're not leaving, so don't you go anywhere. Hold on. I'm going to touch on a few more things, and we're going to jump into our interview with Ashley at Gator RC. We are going to now talk about a guy who works out of his garage, creating awesome stuff. And this is rcplanestands.com. So I talk to Glenn at RC Plane Stands probably once a month, maybe a little bit more than that. And the thing that happens is he'll sell a bunch of these stands, which he makes from his own designs in his garage out of great wood and hardware that you can buy anywhere in case you need to replace it. And he'll be like, Jim, I got to call you. I had an idea. And then he'll create a new stand that incorporates the old stand's idea, and then he'll do it again. And so this latest article that I'm sharing with you just shows some of his newest stands, what they do. I do have a picture here that will illustrate right there how strong they are. And he was recently in a Black Friday sale, and he sold so many stands. He was like, man, we got to keep going. So he invented another stand that'll hold your foamy as well as a larger airplane. And you can check all this out. I have links right here. You can go to his site and see what you need from Glenn. He's a good guy. I have a full review with him on RC Group's YouTube channel, which is RCG Videos. And you can just Google RC Plane Stands interview and go check that out if you want to meet Glenn and find out about the builds he does. So the AMA is something that I also, each week I'm out there looking for AMA content. And I'm just saying, and I know you know because you're here, but if you don't know, Bubba Spivey once said to me, Bubba was an old Top RC pilot who was known for drinking a 6-pack of, okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to edit myself now. Bubba Spivey, who you may or may not know from the lore of RC, he said to me one day in Toledo at the bar, you don't know now, but when you do, you will. And that's what I'm telling you about the AMA Air. That is a whole nother story that I'd be happy to share with someone if you want it. It involves the police and some other things. But the AMA Air is a thing that you may not know about now, but when you do know about it, you will, and you'll understand that you need to watch this show. It's a topical show that goes over things that you and I care about as modelists. The one I've featured this week is about hobby shops. And, after the pandemic, I was frightened to death about what might happen. And it turned out that people decided it was time to start building things and buying things and getting re-involved in the hobby. It really rejuvenated everything in the industry for a lot of companies that were having a little trouble. It was a little bit lean. And that's what we discuss, or they discuss, in the AMA Air in this episode. So you can click right here and go off and find it and hit the subscribe button and check it out anytime it comes out with Dylan and Matt. You know, I've met Matt a few times, but I've seen him. I think this is how it works on the internet so often that I feel like he's a friend of mine, even though we've just said hello at a couple of shows. And Dylan and I have been talking this week as well. And with that said, the AMA is celebrating its 85th year. And because of that, they're working on several timeline pieces. And this will be entitled Then and Now. And it'll go over a lot of the highlights over the many years of the AMA. Some of the topics you can look forward to, and there should be a short video on this. 1940s, World War II, Reginald Denny. If you haven't heard of Reginald Denny, he is the prince of drones, but he predates modern day drones. This is drones of yesteryear. 1960s space race, the 1970s, 80s space shuttle, 2000 Spaceship One, Burt Rutan, who was a really big deal back when I first got started in the hobby. 2004, the movie The Aviator. 2010, Stratolaunch and the Mars expedition, and a lot more things that all sort of touch on the hobby realm. And these are all pieces you can look forward to in the Then and Now piece for the 85th year of the AMA. So be sure and check that out. I also want to now introduce Ashley from Gator RC. We're about to jump into that interview and learn everything about shipping containers and why it matters to you. I am on the line, really, on the video chat with Ashley from Gator RC. Gator is a family-run company. They specialize in scale and 3D, and you do all kinds of things now. Mm-hmm. Do you have a singular line that kind of describes what Gator RC does?
I don't know if there's a singular line. I think that's what makes us really unique is we actually do have so many different brands. Most of our business is not under one umbrella of one brand. I think we're most synonymous with the Top RC model brand and Seagull model, but we have probably close to 60 different brands that we carry. That includes everything you would need to run a jet or a warbird or 3D or whatever it might be.
Gotcha. So that's Gator RC, and you can find them at gator-rc.com. But the reason we're talking today is I have a little side hobby, and that's keeping an eye on containers and what's going on with containers. Now, I'm going to give you my layman's concept. Pre-problem, you could get a container from China to your doorstep of great airplanes for around $4,000.
Yep, between 4 and 5, I would say, yeah.
I'm going to jump straight to the heart of the problem.
Sure.
Is it really $20,000 to $30,000 now to get a container to your door? Is that real?
Yes.
So I guess the question for you is, what do you do as a company that sells RC products with that huge increase in cost to you? I mean, well, just tell us what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, so it definitely is like 4 to 5 times what the cost was. So the increase really started probably back in January of this year. It was probably double what it was previous, right? So in January is when we really started to see a big increase. Now it is where it's at the 4 or 5 times what the cost was before. I think because production has slowed down a little bit, you're not getting hit with it constantly because you're not able to get as many containers as you used to be able to. But okay. I mean, unfortunately, across the board, and it's not just our industry, but it's every industry that's out there is seeing a price increase in everything. And now it's being trickled down, which is just terrible for us and for the consumer, but it's also being our vendors were holding out for a really long time on any kind of price increases on them. And now on a weekly basis, we're getting a new price sheet from everyone for 2022. And they're all at least at a 5% increase on what they were before. So now they're starting to see the effects of everything with the materials that they need to bring in are also being raising in prices. So this whole container issue goes so much further than just a container issue. It's a worldwide issue of supply and demand and price increase. And it's just, there's not one person to point at. but it's just, and there's no true end in sight, which is really kind of scary.
Wow. So my consideration has always been, do we just talk about it to the buyer and let them know, hey, this costs more to get to you, and this is why we're going to raise the price. And I know a lot of companies have not raised prices as long as they can, but you think we're at the point now where everybody has to raise the prices?
Yeah, I think most of the companies now in the hobby have definitely already raised their prices. I know that we were one of the last to have to do it, because we just didn't want to, but we have to face facts, and you can't absorb that amount of costs into your business or you'll be out of business.
Right.
I don't think anyone wants that. But I think we were one of the last. I don't foresee that there's going to be more price increases from here unless, we can absorb a 5% increase that the vendor's giving us. It's not what we want to do, but I think that most companies will face the facts that we've already price increase on our customers, and they're not going to continue to buy if we continue to increase every single time. Right. So I think smaller increases like that, you're going to see it just get absorbed. But I think most of the companies have already price increased. So I don't expect that there's going to be a whole heck of a lot. Now, I think where you might see it now is on the smaller parts and pieces. So your props and your servos and your just typical smaller servo arms and ball links and everything, that you're probably going to see a slight increase on all of those because those are also getting more expensive. But I think for the most part, the larger big bulk items that we're getting on these containers, those have already seen an increase in price over the last year.
So I'm a buyer. You have a plane I desperately want. It's on the water. What do I need to do to make sure I'm going to get the plane I want that isn't actually in stock?
Yeah, so we always pre-sale our items. So anything that's out of stock, as soon as we are comfortable enough knowing that that container is either close to done in the factory or on the water, we put everything into pre-order status. At that time, I would say grab it, because these containers are getting, our Seagull model container will be about 70%, 60-70% sold out before it even gets here. And then the top RC model container, we sell out at about probably 90% before it gets here. So pre-ordering is not anything to be, as a consumer, you shouldn't be nervous about it. It should be something that if you see it go on to pre-order, I would grab it when you can. One of the things that we've just launched that really will help a consumer right now is that we paired up with a firm, which is the financing company. So if it's something that you can't quite afford right now, you can sign up and pay through a firm, and there's different terms. You can be offered a 0% that's split up over 3 different payments, or depending on where you're at personally, financially, you can extend that out longer, maybe with a higher APR. That's all dealt through a firm. It's not something that we personally deal with, but it's a way that you can now pay, so that maybe you're not getting that huge hit right now and it's going to be here in 3-4 months, then you take those 3-4 months to pay that off.
Right.
Helps everyone to, get what they want when they want it, when we have it available. And then also you're able to afford it. So it's nice that we've been able to add that on.
And sometimes it's not even affording it. It's I'll have sticker shock and think I'm not going to pay this much money. But if you say, well, you can pay it in 3 months, and it doesn't matter one way or the other, it's just more of a number, right?
Yeah.
So that would be another way to split that up, especially if it's on the water and you're going to be paying for it and it'll be here by the time it's paid for. That's all another deal.
And I just think that holding out at this point for like the price to drop on the plane, it's just not reality. I wish it was. I wish that we could say, hey, hold out and we'll, maybe prices will go back down. But the truth is, and when talking with all of our, all of the companies that help us to get the containers over here, there's no end in sight. There's not a date that is like, hey, in 2022, we're going to see this. We're going to see it all the way through 2022 and probably into 2023.
Wow.
Until COVID really does stem from COVID, truthfully. And until COVID gets 100% or mostly to a point where we're not having a quarantine for 2 weeks every single time someone either is at close contact or what have you.
Right.
I mean, you're still seeing it in the countries that are major manufacturers like Vietnam and China. There's ports that are closing down. So even if we have materials that are ready to go, there's certain ports that you can't even go out of anymore because at times they'll shut down for weeks at a time because they've had a COVID spike, right? So every time that happens, things get delayed more and they get more expensive and they get harder to get through. And it's so across the board. It's with trucking companies in the US. You can't get chassis for these. They're sitting in ports now in LA, if you're not familiar. And unfortunately, it gets all passed down to people like us, right? All the buck keeps going down to us, right? And so what happens now in LA, if you have a container that's there for longer than 7 days, you're now being charged after day 8. So on day 8, you get charged $100. On day 9, you get charged an additional $200. So now you're at 3.
Oh my gosh.
You need to get charged for it sitting in port when you and I know I have nothing to do with it getting out of port, right?
Yeah.
The trucking company, but it's not them paying for it. It's them tagging it on to us because it's our container. So we try to find ways around it by not going through LA. Unfortunately, LA is one of the most major popular ports, but it's just, so now you're not only seeing that a container might cost 5 times, but now you get things stuck in the system and you're going to get charged for it. Things will also get off of the port and they'll get to, like, say there's a train stop in, so it goes on to the container goes onto the train and then it stops here in Harvey, which is an area in Chicago. It'll sit in Harvey for multiple weeks, right? And they also will charge you. But again, not our fault that we can't get a truck over there. There's trucking issues. So it just has spiraled out of control at this point, and all these price increases will continue because now it's maybe not the container, but now it's the trucking company. Now it's the port that's charging us. Now it's our vendor that's charging us additional. So it's just, there's no end in sight. And it's a battle we go up against every single day that we're trying to help everybody the best we can and not price increase. But we hope that at this point on our larger things, nothing will increase anymore. I know that on smaller pieces, things will increase a little bit, but yeah, that's sort of where we're at.
And it really makes the pre-orders seem like a deal because you're locking in at a price.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's good for them. Maybe not so good for you.
Yeah.
Well, man,
that did happen on our last top RC model container. We didn't catch up to it. And so we were for our personal inventory, we were about 40% sold out. So there was about 40% of that was locked in at a lower rate. And the other people did actually pay more because we just didn't realize at the time how much more expensive this container was going to be. So for sure, you never know between when it goes on to pre-sale and when we actually get it, where it's going to be. But like I said, I hope that we're not going to have to price increase on any planes anymore and that it'll steady out just at the higher price. But yeah.
So I had an idea, and it could be a terrible idea. It might drive people mad. I was thinking of a thread, let's say, where we have a container and you UPS track or USB, or not USB, but you can GPS track a container as it comes towards your shop, right? And I was like, what if we had a thread that was about a specific container? And let's say everyone who has a plane coming off of that container could track the container, see where it's at in the water, see where it's at in the train yard and all that. What do you think about that idea?
Well, so that'd be super cool. There is sometimes we will get a link and we can track it. So like this last one we knew was sitting off of the coast of California for a while. It didn't go in through Long Beach. I'm forgetting where it went in through. It went in through Seattle, right? So it was off on that coast. So we were monitoring it almost on a daily basis, clicking into the link, looking. The ship didn't move. It just kept sitting there. Well, all of a sudden, we got report from our shipper that it was not only in port and offloaded, but on our way to us. So we kept checking that link. That link was not accurate.
No. Okay.
So unfortunately, as much as we think we can monitor that and look at it, we were shocked, a good shock, because we still thought that it was sitting in the middle of the water, but it was oh no, it's off and it's on its rail to Chicago already. So it just isn't super accurate. I think it's delayed by a few days, which isn't helpful, but it is fun to watch and see everything clear off and open up. And so it's fun to watch, but
let's think about that. The next time we have one we can track, maybe we'll get together and get something going.
Yeah, that would be cool. I can definitely.
Well,
share that.
everyone, I want to thank Ashley and Mike from Gator RC for all the great things that you do for the hobby and taking some time and telling us about containers. There's things you've told me today that I had no idea about that I will now share with people.
Yeah, I wish it was all better news and not just doom and gloom of what's going on, but it's just reality. And I appreciate everyone that's willing to understand and learn more about it, because it's not just us being greedy and needing to price increase. I mean, it's just reality of the situation. And I wish that things were different, but I ultimately think people want us to stay in business. So I hope that people understand what we're trying to deal with. And we appreciate everyone that checks in and understands and knows that this is not a science anymore.
And you can't be expected to pay a low price, because that's how, I mean, if you guys are incurring costs, then a modeler should be happy to throw those dollars at you to make sure that, you're there for next year and the year after that.
Yeah, that's what we hope. And we do have the most understanding customers. So we do appreciate everybody.
Well, hey to your family. And once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, Gator RC, gator-rc.com. Go check them out. Okay, we're coming up to the end of our show. And I want to talk about one more person before I get out of here. A person of interest, maybe the most creative. That's a big title to hand over to someone. But Peter, also known as Foam and Tape on RCGroups, has been on the channel. I don't know exactly when he got on, how old he was, but I do know that I went to many indoor events and he would be there with amazing and creative and crazy things. One of the things I remember, it was an aircraft carrier that sort of floated in this indoor arena and very slowly flew with fans. And then if you had the small enough airplane, you would then do touch and goes off the flying aircraft carrier. And I was like, that is crazy. And he just keeps coming up with interesting ideas. He has his own YouTube channel, and I'm looking at it over here. And in fact, why don't I just show it to you? So this is a feature I recently did about a DIY PVC FPV submarine. And this was his latest creation. We are going to take a quick look before we get out of here. This comes in the category of fun items that I'm always looking for. So let's just jump on to the video. So let's take a listen to the concept here.
I got it. This is the Chasing M2 drone. It costs $2,500. This is the homemade PVC drone. It costs $100. I kind of like this one because I built it. I've made some submarines in the past, such as the Lego submarine and the Toaster submarine. They were not very practical submarines. This, however, is going to be a practical submarine, all analog. There's going to be no programming, no BeagleBone, no Arduino, none of that stuff, because the goal is to make this thing as cheap as possible, but also function very well.
So Peter is super crafty,
We're using PVC,
but he just trods ahead. He doesn't stay too long on any. He solves the problem and moves to the next one. This thing's run by a Cat 5 cable with switches, almost like the old transmitters.
I want to make the submarine work on a single Ethernet cable. An Ethernet cable has a possibility of like 8 different connections, so I'm gonna have to get the left motor, the right motor, and the dive motor, and the camera all through this one single cable. It's time to test the submarine parts. Found these 4 reverse relays. Oh no! The thing I'm
So anyway, great stuff. Whenever he comes out with something RC related, I always make a feature of it. This is something new I've been doing. I was like, man, what's out there that I'm missing? And this was definitely it. Let's go forward. We'll take a look at this submarine in the water.
Yeah, look.
He actually takes it to a deep hole in Florida and does a deep dive. So there it is in action. Has a big magnet so it can pick things up.
We're coming up. No, we're still floating around down there. So I still have directional control, so we still got communication. I can definitely go down. Doesn't want to come up.
So that's Peter, Foam and Tape. Once again, you can check him out. What's his channel name? Peter Sripol, Sripol. And but I've always known him as Foam and Tape on RCGroups.com. And always fun, always something to also all the things he invents. It's something that you might be able to apply to something that you're building yourself. So, hey, I want to thank everyone at the AMA that's been so good to me over the years. And I also want to mention Dave Mathewson, who was such a good friend to me coming up in the hobby. He's probably the first, in fact, for sure, the first person, former president, who took time to talk to me, and not only spoke to me, but then would reconnect and say, "Hey, Jim, I've, got this and that." And maybe Dave's the reason that I always feel so connected to the AMA. So thinking of him, be sure to look out for that 85th year, then and now. And big thanks for being invited here. It's always a pleasure to be thought of. I hope I've done a good job of entertaining you and providing some information and just shining a light on the hobby. It's all up to us, in the end. I'm a guy on a YouTube channel, but you're an ambassador just like me. And every action we take out there at the field, everything we say to a new pilot, a young pilot, it all reflects on the hobby, and it all allows the hobby to grow if we create the positivity and the fun and all the things that make this hobby great. I'm Jim T. Graham with RC Groups. Thank you.